Welcome to the Practical Ascension Podcast. I'm your host and soul alchemist, Tracy Goody. Stay with me for practical guidance and flow for your modern life through this time of ascension. August 2020 Akashic Insight Forecast. So August is always, I find, this intense energy charged month. And it seems like every month in 2020 is intensely energetically charged, so it's no big surprise. As we enter August, we're asked to create this kind of like balance point of conscious awareness and intuitive connection. Those truths about who we really are starting to really nudge at us here. Not the personality aspects, but the deeper truths that can't always be explained in words and must be felt and experienced within to truly understand. So we're asked to be aware of the subtle energies and information, but our energetic environment in August is so supportive of that it's going to be a lot easier to sense those subtle energies and to receive that information. So the first 2 weeks of August especially are going to be ideal for intuitive connection, personal exploration, and connection to our divine self, and that additional insight while we're inside this Lionsgate Portal. So the Lionsgate Portal happens every year around this time, with the peak of it being on August 8th, 8/8. My most prominent soul connection to this energy comes from lifetimes in ancient Egypt. And when you tune into the Lionsgate Portal for yourself, also bring kind of like this ancient Egypt energy into the picture and see if you notice any resonance. I personally just fill up with this kind of emotional, some tears and some inner knowing. I love that connection to ancient Egypt, and anybody else who resonates with that too, you might experience something similar. They're so visceral for me. So anyway, so 8/8 is when things really line up, and that's literally Sirius and the sun and the pyramids of Giza. So it's a really energetically sacred time that ancient cultures knew about as well. And this feels like a time where quantum leaps are possible for anyone who is willing to go within and connect to this energy. This is a time for personal evolution. And quantum leaps that is evolution, right? So when a species is evolving and they take a quantum leap, like there's something brand new that comes into the species, that's the evolution, and that's the quantum leap. And this is the space that we're in right now too. There's an opening for more of who you are to come to light, and limiting programs to be recognized as false and unsubscribed from. I laughed when my guides brought that through, and they're like, just keep unsubscribing from these limiting programs. Unsubscribe, unsubscribe, unsubscribe. Just in the same way that whenever you're done with a newsletter or a subscription to a business, you take it off of your email. It's the exact same thing. So we begin the month of August 1st and 2nd, with the energy of Llamas, or also known as Lunasa. So in ancient times, we would celebrate this time of grain harvest and light. And in those times, we had more of kind of like an intricate connection into the earth and the circadian rhythm, right? And I find as I work with the Wheel of the Year, it helps me to tap back into the natural flow and inner knowing it's so natural for us, right? It helps me personally to connect to the energy of peace and balance, which I find benefits, every area of my life. So part of the reason I love doing these forecasts is that it takes me away from day-to-day schedule of modern life and allows a glimpse back into natural rhythm. And so I hope that as you're listening to this, that you're allowing yourself to tap into that kind of earth flow circadian rhythm as well. And with the influence of the sun right now, we also are experiencing this light within our bodies, within our light bodies, our solar plexus. So the space highlights our relationship with ourselves, our empowerment, and our drive. So when we're focusing on the solar plexus, we're focusing on this time where the sun is really in focus, focusing on our empowerment and our drive and ourselves. It's just like the days when the sun and the night, right? So let's look at the kind of the flow and the balance here for a minute. We can no longer see the sun at night, obviously, right? And this energy of balance is being called forth within us. So the drive and forward movement of exploration, that the harvest of our relationship with ourselves, the kind of the work, right? Balanced with quiet rest, contemplation, and even celebration. So it's really understanding the balance of those two key areas. And our discernment is key right now to feel into what we need at any given moment. So within that energy of Lunasa, there also comes the full moon influence, which is peaking on August 3rd and 4th. So this has the opportunity to bring meaningful transformation to your life. In case you didn't get enough transformation in your life, so far this year. As you're tuned into yourself. So what I mean by meaningful transformation, it can also feel like a plot twist. So I laughed again whenever my guides brought through the words meaningful transformation. Right, okay, that's a nice way to put it. I've been saying this for years now. Adaptability is key. The more adaptable to ever-changing conditions you can allow yourself to become, the easier these meaningful transformations are going to be. So when you resist and fight against the change, it's like telling the tide not to come in. Say, oh, no, don't come in yet. I'm not ready for you. Wait a few hours. And the tide doesn't listen. The changes are still happening. So you go and get a bucket and you start to put the tide back into the ocean. So it's that same type of energy. You're putting in a lot of effort. So in this case, you might be using mental effort, which is very draining. But you're putting a lot of effort in, taking bucket after bucket, only to realize that the change is happening anyway. The tide's coming in anyway. You constantly moving and being busy with the bucket is not going to stop the transformation from happening. So this transformation might be happening within you. So it might be a new way that you're connecting in with yourself, a new way that you're seeing the world, something new that's shifting. Or it might be something new in your life or your relationships. So be aware of this and remember kind of that visual of trying to remove the tide with buckets. It keeps you busy to resist it, to worry about it, or to try and figure out all the hows, but it's not benefiting you and it's only exhausting your energy supply. So if you do notice a meaningful transformation coming up in your life in August, remember that visual of trying to put the tide back into the ocean. Hopefully it will remind you not to spend too much time in worry and trying to figure out all the hows, because it'll all come together. Okay, so then as this full moon energy is still running, all of these energies are really layered on top of each other, right? So, but as the full moon energy is still running, we're presented with the peak of the Lionsgate Portal. So Lionsgate Portal is already active before we even go into August, and so that stays active for quite some time. But again, the peak of it is August 8th. I would highly recommend that right now you schedule some time during the weekend, kind of August 7th to 10th, to take some time for yourself. Explore the messages, lessons, and insights from this portal. Even if you can block off an hour in your calendar to dedicate to just your own time. You'll probably need a break anyway at that point. So take the break. So these high frequency charged light codes may also bring up ascension symptoms. So another heads up to prioritize your self-care and your physical body. Really getting the hydration going at the start of August before the peak of the Lionsgate Portal is going to be a great idea, because you want to have that flow within your body. You want to be able to be rinsing things out of your body as well. Nourishing yourself through food, through movement, through grounding. Those things all help to minimize the physical symptoms. We're just really making room for frequencies when we're doing that. So sometimes there is some detox as vibrations that don't match within our physical bodies are released. So like whenever we go through these meaningful transformations, there just has to be the release of the old, and that happens like in our physical body. So the salt in our bodies works with the water in our bodies, and we flush that out through our tears, through our urine, through our sweat, right? So that's naturally going to be happening. So again, I'm kind of focusing on this a lot right now because it makes a huge impact when you are hydrated. I'm so obsessed with hydration, but it makes a huge impact when you're hydrated on your energetic shifts as well, and on how smooth you can allow things to go. There can also be big emotions coming up. So that can be another ascension symptom as well. And especially if you are working on yourself a lot in August. It's part of the human experience. Again, I'm reminded of that same visual of moving the tide with buckets. And if you can see the bigger picture, you would know that the tide is going to go back out on its own. So it's same with that emotional energy, that big emotional energy. Don't try to fight it. See the bigger picture, that it's naturally going to move back out if you accept it. If you're trying to fight against it, like a whole lot, and saying, I don't want to feel this emotions, I don't want to feel it. Again, it's like taking the buckets and throwing the tide back into the ocean. It's not actually It might keep you busy, but it's not actually benefiting you. So throughout August, I recommend that you pause and just ask, what do I need right now? You just breathe into your heart chakra, ground your energy, and ask, what do I need right now? And just see what comes into your mind. And also asking, what insights are available to me now? What's most important that I'm aware of? So just creating those creating that first step of opening up to that divine information, especially right now in August, you're gonna be getting insights. And then taking the time to let the answers come to you through either meditation, journaling, spending some solo time in nature, or really whatever gives your mind clarity and openness. This energy theme continues for the whole, like the first 2 weeks of August is that same energy. And then things are going to start to calm down a little tiny bit. And it's almost like the universe is giving us a little bit of time for reflection. So this reflection might lead you into action, understanding your next action step, or rest, or it might be a combination. Again, it's about adaptability and asking yourself these questions. Then on August 18th and 19th, we have a new moon. So on the evening of the 18th, when the moon is dark, it's a really powerful time to release and let go of anything that came up the first 2 weeks of August. So if you were kind of like waiting for a special time to really release and let go, really set those intentions, and really give yourself maybe a little bit of ceremony or ritual to release and let those go, the evening of August the 18th feels so supportive for that when the moon is dark. That feels really, really great. And then as we move into the 19th and the 21st, so this is just kind of like right after that dark moon, when there's just kind of like maybe even a sliver that you can't even hardly see yet. This is the most ideal time to start to plant intentions. So now that we've been made aware of the shifts, we've had time to reflect, and then we did some releasing, what do we want to bring to fruition that is for our highest good and the highest good of everybody involved? Just asking yourself that question and see what comes up. Just kind of allow yourself to maybe free journal or spend some time and just see what comes up for you around that. So add to the clarity of your intentions throughout the last week of the month and remind yourself of all you have learned about yourself this month. As always, so much potential opportunities and energies are coming through this month. So I hope you take some time, make the most of it, and I hope that these ascension energies are settling beautifully for you. Thank you so much for tuning in.